nailed it. I appreciate that so much. I'll give you Bob one there. Thank you.
The library is taking a survey. Have you seen that? Oh, you probably, I just got mine. I gave one to Jerry. I was on the committee. Yeah, you did. I know. I got to finish. I haven't had a reading strategic plan.
Awesome. Very good.
As far as I can tell.
And then you can
So it's time to get
Well,
one program.
I think the first strategy was, you know, moving a tricky barn and getting it over here.
Yeah.
I mean, that was, because I don't remember much talk about the library back in the old days.
It's 100%. If you look at it, I wasn't here then, but oh, it's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that is something of a day. Minus the cupola, though. Hey, Jay, what's happening?
You got all the
Huh? Did you have a nice time in Greece?
Yeah.
Did you test their taxa?
Huh?
Did you test their
There's a
metaxa?
sign-in sheet up there.
Their metaxa? Or their ouzo liquor? It's a liquor. You can see that.
Oh, we went to France, Italy, Greece, Croatia, Slovenia.
It is.
Yeah, we went everywhere. Croatia.
You drive?
No, well, different port every
Okay,
once.
okay, yeah. Well, I drove all over Italy, you know, and I got some friends right now all over Europe driving. They're in Albania right now.
It was different. Saw the Pope at the Vatican.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Was it Wednesday or Sunday when you were there? That's when he does his meetings. Yeah.
Wednesday, maybe.
Yeah.
Is that a set day?
Yeah, Wednesdays and Sundays unless he's sick or something. You know, we just happened to be there on a Wednesday when I think it was Benedict was the first, you know, that giant screen, right? He's doing his thing, and he started blessing people who were visiting. And one of the areas that he blessed happened to be where my grandfather immigrated from. So I'll take it. I'll take it. It was kind of cool. I said to Jason, that's where my grandfather came from. Same thing with a county.
That's cool.
It's pretty cool seeing 3 or 4 thousand here all the time.
Like ease of operation.
Yeah. Amazing that all those old buildings that they renovated.
Just came to my mind.
Incredible.
Did
Did you get in the Coliseum?
Yeah. I thought
Yeah.
didn't impress me much.
And I was thinking.
You know, time.
Rome was impressive. Seeing, you saw a lot of stuff in
I felt
Rome.
like I'd seen
Where-
it.
Not long term, but real.
Julius Caesar got they showed in the Senate, when you went by and you can see down, when you're going through towards the Coliseum, and the Senate itself, and there's the area, it's all, you know, it's just all ranch, you know.
I guess I lost track. We
Okay.
saw so much.
This was another one, this is an unfortunate thing, but believe it, we went in late March, and they had a weird snowstorm and rain in Rome a couple of weeks before. And they wouldn't let anybody in the Coliseum because they were worried about the structure. The weight of the snow might have done something.
Right, yeah.
They didn't know for sure, as it turns out it didn't. Just in time for us to. Okay, so I just went around it a couple of times on horseback, you know, we had these little carriages to take you around in town and stuff, which was kind of cool.
The Amalfi Coast was the best.
Oh, I've heard
The
that.
best.
I drove up there, Jason.
Oh, we were on a bus on it. It was like right on Hurricane Mountain Road.
All the way to Amalfi, the town itself, the second last town. They have 5-speed Lancia, which is an Italian car. I mean, I was having a blast going through it, but there's no room for 2 cars, or buses and stuff. I mean,
They go through.
holy smokes. I was like, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. They said, we're just going to drive this and that, you know, like this, and through tunnels, and the ocean is right there, and there's no room for buses and cars at the same time.
That was the best.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I thought so too. And you look out at the island. You look out at the island of Crete, that's the island that was out there. We were there at the time, we couldn't go in because it was too early, there were no boats going out there. But yeah. That's good, so you had a good time in your own country, I was gonna say.
Good word.
Wow. It is fascinating. Did you go to any museums?
Not a lot of museums.
Beautiful. That's
Have you
something.
seen Highway not too long ago?
I archaeologists working. Archaeologists right there with squirt wall.
Did you feel the earthquakes when you were there? Because there's a volcano right in the wall, it's popped right there. That last one happened. And they're worried, they're always looking at all these ways to get the hell out of there, because hundreds of thousands of people as opposed to being home. I bet you're right, it was 125%. Because they were father, they were dead. I was
What's that fire?
It's probably 20 now.
No. Yeah, they're
Yeah, there's a fair amount of Italian in there.
Yeah, they were
Pretty close to a lot.
Yeah, so
We're Dutch.
I'm actually 3/4 Sicilian and 1/4 Naples. Sometimes they were the food.
Do you know Joe Orsino?
Not anymore.
On the fire department?
September.
Right after the Christmas.
Okay.
It was just crazy.
A lot of mobsters down there.
We were even in a nice quiet patio area. And we left and went out and oh my God, what's going on? It was crazy.
Has everyone signed in and gotten an agenda? Okay. Thanks. All right.
Yeah, I think I signed it.
I didn't see it.
All right, everyone, it is 3:30, so I will call the meeting to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So we have 2 meeting minutes to approve tonight. The first one is the tax rate setting meeting minutes. Any questions or comments, changes on that?
No.
I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You're ready to use your own pens tonight.
Yeah. Okay, that's probably a good idea. I got one right here. But you have to touch the paper.
Yeah, I know. And then the other meeting minutes are from the November 14th meeting. Any questions, comments, changes?
No. Make a motion to approve the minutes for November 14th, 2023.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, Burr, you're gonna be on the hot seat for number 1 here.
Oh.
So we received the bids in from 2 construction companies, and so if it's my understanding, the process was that they had to submit bids, and we have a period of time that we can approve one of the bids. And if we don't approve the bid, it needs to go out to bid again.
Unless they're willing to extend their
Oh, they're-
by contract, they have 30 days, maybe you don't need to.
Okay.
But often contractors, if they know they're gonna get the job built.
Okay, and the only reason I asked it in that manner is because the 2 bids came in so significantly different. I mean, it wasn't like a 10% variance. One was at 2.476 million, and the other came in at 1.8, but now it's made some changes and it's up to 1.9. So there's a $500,000 difference between the 2 bids.
Yes.
How can you make me comfortable, how can you make us comfortable saying that we're not missing something on the lowest bid? And believe me, I want to save money. I don't want to spend 2.5 if we can spend 1.9, but What's the huge difference?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only thing I could say is, you know, the engineer, Steve Langton, spoke with him about it, went over the bid, went through all the bid items with them, and I think the guy's comfortable with his bid items. I did look briefly at the items, and it was mostly in the concrete sections where the big difference was. And they, you know, there's also a big difference there. The engineer's estimate, which what they do is they put together an estimate from DOT.
Mm-hmm.
Does weighted unit prices for all, like, each component on their website. So you just add up, you know, they add the design for the dollar quantities, they apply DOT's prices from the last year, the average unit price, and they came up with $1.5 million.
There we go. That was gonna be my question, what's the
Yeah.
engineer's
So
estimate?
the engineer's
Yeah.
estimate was just under 1.5, and then the bid came in at like 1.88 or 1.89 or something like that.
And so, my next question then is, if we're comfortable taking the lowest bid, then is there a contingency built into that? How do we know it's not going to come in at $2.5 million down the road?
Well,
What would cost?
it's a good idea to have an extra 5% or so on hand.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes 5 or 10% somewhere in there on hand in case something comes up that's not expected in construction.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully in this case, you know, it's above, most of the work is above ground, so you don't have to do quite so many unexpected things, whereas when it's buried, you never know what you do on the ground. So hopefully don't get into too many changes, but we should have some extra money in case there is a change, you know, in case there is, you know, something comes up that's unexpected.
And if an unexpected change comes up, does the state still cover their portion of that, or do we cover all percent?
Obviously, they have to agree that it's an extra, and we would have to agree it's an extra as well. So if they think it's a justified extra, they'll cover it.
Okay.
So this project total you have here, it's 2.522 million. Is that the 20% included?
Here, I
Added on to
actually
that?
have that broken out
Right?
here.
But that is added on?
That's
what.
No.
That's total.
No.
That's a total.
Project cost,
So-
so you're on the hook for 20% of that.
Yeah, so hold on, I want to read these
Right.
numbers just so we have them in front, because I
Sure.
figured that would come up. The proposed total cost is $2,522,894. The state's portion of that would be $2,018,315, and then the town portion would be $504,579. Of that, we have 422 in our expendable
Yep.
trust fund, so we need to fund 8254.
Yeah, okay.
So we can expect that to be in our,
Right.
in our budget for this coming year. So I think those are really important numbers to keep in mind. That 2.5 is going to be the projected and presented total for today.
Right, and just so you know, when the contract is awarded, the DOT should send you a check for 80% of the first item of $222,000. That will be their reimbursement for the design.
Okay.
So that'll help your budget a little bit. You can understand.
Can we put it in any kind of interest-bearing account? I don't know what you put it into for $2 million or whatever, but is there, I mean, can we do with it what we want to save, keep it?
Well,
We're not gonna put it in stocks,
they're giving
obviously.
you 80% of the $220,000, just the design fee.
Okay,
They're also gonna give you
Okay.
40% of the construction cost, with half of their share of the construction cost. That should come at the same time, and then you'll have to make up the difference
until it's
until
done.
the project's done, and then you'll get the final reimbursement.
In the trusses or another 60?
Yes, go ahead, Bob.
I just wanted to be able to understand the email that came out from Julie yesterday. So there was a 1.868 bid, $1.868 million bid from Austin Construction. And then there was some things that should have been included, brought it up to 1.884. And then after that, it says that's not including $546 for joint adhesive or the trust restoration which is approximately $60,000. Is the $60,000 added onto the $1.884 million?
Right, I think you look at his line item on the spreadsheet, you said, I think that it's included in that.
Okay. All right, I just wanted to make sure I was understanding.
Yeah, what happened there was, the person he got a price from for the truss restoration didn't realize there was lead paint.
Oh, that's,
the
the
bridge.
60K is the lead paint.
So there was 50 grand in there for the general contractor spoke to some lead abatement contractors in order to descale or whatever they have to do the old bridge to contain the lead. It's 50 grand just to do that. And then when Steve got the cost, it was 2,000 3 years ago, and the price has gone up 10,000. So that explains your roughly $60,000.
And so, again, just so the state would give us 20% of the 200-some thousand engineering, plus 40% of the remaining
The construction, yeah.
construction.
And then the other
Construction
40%
and construction engineering, I believe, actually.
Okay, okay.
comes at some point down the road. The other 40%, you know when that comes
After the project is
I believe
done?
that comes at the end of the project.
upon completion.
Correct.
And how much is our TAN note, Julie? 1 million?
I think it's 1 million.
So we may need to, well, no, we're probably okay with that. We have
Yeah.
422.
So I guess the other thing you should know is that because the bids came in that much higher, DOT, the project manager, Leah Savage, she has to go back through up to the assistant commissioner to get approval for the extra money. So if you guys are agreeable to spending the extra money, we need to get her a letter, and then she can go up to the commissioner, and it will take every bit of the 30 days from the bid, maybe longer. So at the same time, we're talking to the contractor to see if he will hold his bid for extra time if DOT doesn't get through the paper chase of freeing up the extra money in time.
And by extra money, you mean above and beyond GPI's estimate of 1.5?
Right.
Okay, so there's about $300,000-$400,000 there. Okay,
But it just takes a while to get through the
yeah.
machine. So, and I should say, in the long shot, or I shouldn't say, if Austin says we're not gonna hold a bid beyond 30 days,
Mm-hmm.
and it takes DOT longer than 30 days from the bid opening, we would have to rebid the project. We would have to go out to bid again with the project all over.
Does the state care about that? Are they gonna be,
I don't think
in your opinion, I guess?
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
not
I know
they can do
Leah,
it.
she wants us to, she's hopes we just move forward the way it is,
Yeah,
but she only has so much control to, she's
I
not.
would have to send her the letter tonight.
So if you can send her a letter saying you're
If you
agreeing
guys
with
approve.
the extra costs, and then that would be fantastic, that'll help the process.
And that letter could go out as soon as tomorrow.
I'm not here tomorrow.
That's right, you're out Wednesday.
I'm out until Monday, so I have to do it tonight,
Okay.
if you guys approve.
Oh, you're prepared to do the letter tonight?
Yeah. I have it all typed up and ready to go.
Oh.
Just have to change some of the numbers now.
Okay. So with all that movement, though, you know the exact number?
Yeah.
Okay.
This
What is it?
This is
What he
we're
sent,
looking at right
what
here.
Steven sent.
Okay.
I'm going by his numbers. He's the one that, he's
I
the
just have
engineer.
such an uneasy feeling about having such a disparity between the GPI numbers, the low bid and the high bid. I'm not like, what's your thought on this? Why, does this happen often? I mean,
It does happen, I mean, you get contractors that are hoping, I mean, there wasn't a lot of interest, there was only 2 contractors at the pre-bid meeting.
Yeah,
And so I suspect they realized there wasn't going to be a lot of bidders, so they didn't sharpen their pencils maybe as much as they needed, and maybe they've got a lot of work lined up for next year as it is. Piper was the other one, they're very good, was the high bidder. And then Austin, which I don't have any personal experience with Austin, but,
Have we
so
had any?
it happens, you know, like we did the rec path and there was bids that were that much higher than the low bidder on the rec path. When it got said and done, it was pretty close to the original.
You say you don't know much about Austin, but do they have a track record of building?
Yeah, they had to submit qualifications, and Steve, the design engineer, I'll double check to make sure he called references and those things, but he's,
God, I don't.
but, they're from Vermont, I was someone I just,
Yeah.
maybe a different part of it.
Vermont.
Jay?
I guess, for me, it doesn't surprise me. Whether you go small scale, medium scale, or large scale contractors, you're seeing drastic different prices. Like Barry said, you got contractors that will bid on it and say, well, if I can get it for high dollar, I'll do it, because they're lacking employees, everybody is just, I don't care if it's small scale, little guys like us or big guys, everybody is so busy, and there's less people doing that type of work, and lack of employees, it doesn't surprise me a bit. I mean, if the engineer's estimate is 1.5, and you got a contractor that's 1.9, who's the contractors?
Austin
Austin.
Construction from Concord, out of
Austin?
Concord, Vermont.
And who's the other one?
Piper
RM Piper.
is the one for 2.5.
Yeah, Piper's, I mean, I've worked for them, they're extremely reputable, do an incredible job. They do a lot of smaller jobs also.
But $500,000
that doesn't
is,
and I know they're busy,
yeah.
so it doesn't surprise me if they say, I mean, when I started this whole thing, I'm the one that closed the sidewalk, when the sidewalk got closed up there. I met with Piper before this ever even came to the town to look to see what repairs could be done to the bridge reasonably without having to get into a major bridge project. So, you know, but it doesn't surprise me that they're so busy that they're gonna jack the price.
Yeah.
I think 2/3 of the difference in cost came down to the concrete work and the stone work. Like, 'cause they're actually gonna split the face off of some of the existing abutment stones and then put concrete wing walls on and then glue, reattach these stone faces to the abutment, so it still looks like an old stone abutment, but it's concrete behind it. That's pretty labor intensive work. So, but the contractor, the Piper, Colby from up in Lancaster, I think all total they were $300,000 more than Austin, and Austin is gonna do most of the work themselves, they're not subbing out the concrete work.
Yeah, so that's a big item there.
Yeah, and GPI did comfort factor, they said from what I noted recently, around a 25% or so difference is not uncommon. Any other thoughts, questions?
No, I just think it makes it even more important to get this
Yeah.
letter out in case there is a 30-day delay there.
So I will take a motion to approve the total project for $2,522,894 to be awarded to, Austin Construction.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Thank you for all your help.
Thank you.
We'll keep our fingers crossed there.
I didn't see the agenda, but Gary Powell asked me to answer some questions on the Black Mountain Pool at some point, so I'm not sure where that is on your agenda.
On the Black Mountain?
Yeah, the black.
Eagle Mountain House, right?
No,
Eagle
no,
Mountain?
no, no.
Black
Oh,
Mountain.
Black Mountain.
Up near Dean Davis's place, and there's a problem with the wall, bridge, all of that. And Gary
Yeah.
said it's gonna be a big project, good.
I didn't have that on the agenda.
No, you didn't, but I mean, that's,
Okay.
Gary had mentioned it, but,
Okay.
All right.
so it wasn't.
Wait for another day, that's all I
Yeah.
have.
Yeah. What is this?
What-
Give me
So
some
they-
background.
Yeah, so, just a little ways up Black Mountain Road, there's a 5-foot diameter metal culvert, and something's going on where the road is settling over the culvert. Seems like pretty significantly. And so that culvert, and you look at the culvert, it clearly needs to be replaced with an old culvert. So it's something that needs to get done next year, so. Gary had me take a look at it, and I've had someone flag the wetlands, and a surveyor just did the surveying, so we can start doing some preliminary planning, come up with a cost and plan to replace, the best way to replace that whole culvert.
Is this a town road or is this state?
No.
Town road, and is this one of Gary's inventory culverts that were on the high
Yeah,
list?
this one is like really
Yeah.
bad.
Okay,
And
but,
the
I
only
mean,
way
it's-
out beyond, there's not too many houses beyond that, but
Sure.
there's no loops. That's
That
the
was
only
one
way
of
you're
the
getting
main-
That was one of the
Culverts.
maintenance that we had. Okay, so
One
you're
of the
just kind of
three
bringing
that
it
he
back up
named.
to the top of the list.
He brought it up, and he just
started.
wanted
It's
me
our
to
red
answer
culvert
questions.
list.
Yeah,
Right.
but it's more than that, yeah. But what, did he rough it out as a price to that? Was there?
Well, he just roughed out an estimate of $100,000 to $200,000, and I think it'll be towards the high end of the couple $100,000. I haven't done any detailed numbers yet. I just started to look a little bit at DOT's weighted prices, or looked at some of the bids, and I didn't see anything that fit super well for that project, but if I could do a little planning, I can come up with quantities and
It's an
alternatives.
extremely difficult spot, extreme, it's narrow.
Okay,
Culvert's down, quite a ways down below the river.
Yeah, it's a tough one for
all
sure.
right, so I know we have a little while till our next meeting, but can you be prepared to, and I'm sure Gary will talk to you and stuff about it, and then we'll also be talking about how much money we're gonna be spending on highway improvements in the planning board meeting too, so, but we'll be aware that that needs immediate attention.
Right, and Gary's monitoring the rates, he put in some reference marks, and he's taking elevations every month or so, and he's actually seen it drop already in 6 feet a little bit.
And then, and then is there any update, because I have you here too, moving down to the pending section under Eagle Mountain House, any updates on that?
I don't think, Kevin's really been on mostly everything. I know at one point they were gonna send me the plans to review, and I haven't received the plans from HEB to review, but.
Yeah, we talked yesterday, and I told him the exact thing I told you guys, and you didn't talk to Jim, I guess.
I have not yet.
No, so he was good, Bert was good, talk to Jim from the DOT and see where they are. So,
Are they still doing work there?
they still have open permits, but nobody's been doing any work because there's a lot of issues.
Right.
They're looking for plumber, and the kitchen's not done.
Can we do something drastic to pull permits or give them extra attention or a stop work
I mean,
order
I
or something?
suggested, and I don't know, this would be up to Jim, but just to close that entrance right off. Put a big silt fence up,
Yeah.
ready for next spring for some of the sediment that'll come down the road, and we mentioned Jersey barriers.
Yeah,
And it's not a bad idea, because, I
but are we
mean,
gonna send them a bill for that? I mean,
No.
that's the thing that I don't wanna,
State road, not town road, it's a state road.
Yeah.
So it's not really our responsibility, I would think.
it's not our responsibility, but this has been dragging on for so
Yeah.
long.
And they
and-
pulled-
No, as far as actually physically doing.
I know,
and they pulled the two silt fences that they did have up, because now they're probably ready to plow. And so, late next March or April, we'll start getting rain again.
if this were your property, what would you do?
If it was my property, it wouldn't take much to go in there and, like I said, to put up some silt fence on the one side, you know, maybe 2 rows of it, and then on the right side, same thing, just keep it tight to the woods where water comes down. But to pull it out of there,
If the town just put some pressure on DOT,
you know,
I mean, if the town had an issue going on, I can guarantee you DOT would be pressuring you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the state did give a deadline of the middle of October to
But
get this done. If we
Right.
started pressure there,
if
here
you,
here we are.
if you pressure them, the more often you pressure them, maybe they'll
Right.
initiate them to.
This has just dragged on for too long, and, you know, I don't wanna see it get messy or nasty or anything, but property is potentially going to be damaged in the spring when all of this, you know, when the snow melts. So if we can maybe take some action with the state to push harder, I don't know what you want to do, or if you want to talk to them, try to talk to them again, or we can talk to Jason and see what he recommends, but
I'll call Jim McMahon too.
if you could do that, because I don't want to get to April and have a lawsuit on our hands. And that, yes, it's a state road and all that, but we've been talking about this for months, so.
Can I just, is the state satisfied with the plan that they've seen, the latest plan to what has to be done?
Well, I think I told you that Eric finally sent the plan to Jim, and Jim they talked about it, and Jim thought it was a good plan, but he had to submit it to someone in DOT to get the final okay. That's what it sounded like.
Okay, so we're still not
So
totally.
it's kind of like the plan action is in the hands of DOT now, it sounds like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we just keep following up on it with force, because this is crazy. So somebody, the two of you guys, and
Yeah, I can
talking with Frank.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
Thank you. Okay, I skipped around a bunch there. So we did a library trustees proposed ETF article.
We are proposing an article for the town warrant at the next meeting. It's an expendable trust fund to handle unexpected or unbudgeted repairs and maintenance issues. This year, just as background, we really almost got bitten pretty hard when our air conditioning system failed. We had no room in the budget, with the exception of Karen Burton coming to our aid and the town and allowing us to underspend our salaries, because we built them up to anticipate our new director. And so we're underspending enough to cover that. If that hadn't been the case, we would have had to cut back on discretionary expenditures. So the proposal is an expendable trust fund in the amount of $10,000 to cover unbudgeted issues like this. We would have the proposal to be the Board of Trustees to be the agents to expend those funds. Mm-hmm. And we're talking about such things as you can't really budget or know the timing, such as roof repair, replacement of heating systems, and the like. To my knowledge, I haven't been here forever, but we've never had that reserve. And it will only be spent for those purposes. So we're hoping that we can get the select board's approval for that. And the wording, I handed out the current wording may change a little bit depending on how people feel. That covers, I think, all those issues. That's pretty much it.
And I think, we started talking about this a little back with the generator too, because there was nothing to fund the generator, and we got some COVID funds that allowed us to do that, and then we said we don't have anything for also some other town buildings and initiatives, so we've been talking about that with the capital improvement program a little bit too. We have smaller items.
I can't read lips.
Do I have to separate you two? I'm just kidding. But I think it's a great idea. Now, are you intending this 10,000 to be a recurring amount, or?
At this point, it was a one-shot deal. We may have to revisit it. I mean, the library's it's over 13 years old. Things are starting to now age a little bit, but this is a one-shot for now.
Okay. Question?
Yeah, and the number came from, where exactly did you decide on 10 as opposed to 15 or 5, or what are your thoughts around that number?
The air conditioning system in total was about 8,000 plus. We're thinking if it's a relatively minor thing, we'll be able to handle it in the budget. But this is for something that fairly major relative to our budget. Mm-hmm. And is it going to, well, we don't plan to spend it unless we have this sort of issue come up. So it's a reserve, basically, Bob.
Right.
Yeah. I was just wondering if you had your eye on anything specific that was at its at the end of its useful life that was in that $10,000. It wasn't,
Not the roof.
Not, but,
Hopefully no roof.
yeah, hopefully no roof. I mean, that should be 15 or 20 more years. But no, we don't. We're going to keep looking very carefully at it based on what happened. My air conditioner at home went out at the same time.
Yeah.
So,
and the wording, we'll want to vet this through our town council, I assume.
Yes.
Was there something you wanted added to this, as far as unanticipated repairs or maintenance, or unbudgeted, or is there anything like that word that would go in there? Because you said you didn't want to spend it unless it was something that was somewhat unanticipated.
let me check with our chairman. What do you think? I think unbudgeted covers it.
I would agree.
Well, and what we'll do is just run that addition, or run everything by our town council.
Yeah.
That's it.
The wording comes,
Go ahead.
the wording does come from New Hampshire Municipal.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's where they got the wording from. Yeah, from legal.
great.
I don't know whether adding unbudgeted would change the
Doesn't matter
effect,
much.
but it's.
Yeah,
No.
well, because they were saying that
Yeah.
it wasn't something they just want to, oh, let's go buy some new shelves or something like that.
Yeah.
Shows the
They
tape.
wanted it for
Oh, I don't think this would be intended to cover
unanticipated.
shelves. This is
No.
building maintenance,
And-
not the.
Right.
Yeah, do you have
Right.
the wording? Did you read the?
Yeah, it says,
Okay.
I'm gonna read it out loud. It says,
Yeah.
to see if the town will vote to establish a library repairs and maintenance expendable trust fund under the provisions of RSA 31:19-A to fund library repairs and maintenance, and to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be placed in said fund. Further, to name the library trustees as agents to expend from said fund. So, and I think we've talked about sort of simple is better, because you're not limited then to unbudgeted, and I say that because if they budgeted for something but it has an overage, you could probably still pull from the
Yeah,
repairs and maintenance fund, something
Yeah.
like that. But yeah, again, I don't think they buy anything. They're pretty frugal people. Oh, conscious people. So I have no problem with this. I think it's a great idea to start setting something like this up as well. Any other thoughts, Frank?
Oh, I agree.
no, I don't have any other thoughts at
Oh,
all.
it's kind of that we know it's a good official looking way of doing this. It's just
Yes,
like-
yeah.
My
And do
only thought was
we don't,
if we are looking at our warrant articles and things start to really feel tight, and we're talking about culverts and
Mhm.
costs that are unanticipated, that maybe $5,000 a year over the course of 2 years, is that a way to, if it gets that tight and we want to be that frugal, is that something that we would want to really have a conversation about? I don't think it needs to happen today.
right, and I was gonna say, and that might be something that happens when we have our budget hearing for the warrant
Yeah.
articles,
Yeah.
and we see where we end up
But
there.
opening the door is a good idea, for sure.
Yes, agreed. All right, thank you very much, I appreciate this, and we will put this on our budget for the review, which will be on January 23rd, at our second budget hearing.
When's
Oh, you know what?
election day?
Actually, that's election day, so
Yeah.
we're gonna have to reschedule that
I just
meeting.
thought so.
Oh, yes.
Yes, we
Yeah,
will.
That's right.
So, that's right.
Mr. Moderator, election day, January 23rd.
So we will have a TBD on that one. Will probably be I don't know, yeah, we'll have to look at the calendar on that one.
Can we do it after the bond hearing on the 16th,
Mm-hmm,
so we consolidate it?
yeah.
Well, get it over.
I'm just gonna change that to the 16th. Okay. All right, perfect. Election day is the 23rd. All right, the next is the COAS Advisors Contract. They are the firm that does our annual audit, and Julie has the right to call them all the time and ask for information and help on things, and they have been very valuable in the past. And then raising their fees from $12,700 per year to $14,500, which is an $1,800 increase. How much have they increased in the past few years, do you know? I don't remember.
No, I'd have to go back and look.
But they're
I don't think it was
invaluable
this,
to you.
this much. I don't believe it was that much of an
Yeah, I
increase.
know. I know
But it
they,
seems like everybody's increasing.
are there any things in the contract that you've, like, it's not broken out by components of things, right? Like, they have, a quarterly
They-
billing, but it
yeah.
includes all of their services and their preparation of the MS-16
Yes,
and
yeah.
all that. So what do they do for payroll services? you
They
know?
do our quarterly taxes.
So are they not
But
done
that's about
through
it.
QuickBooks anymore?
What's that?
Are they not done through QuickBooks now that you run payroll through QuickBooks?
No, we have to share the file with them, and so they do get in there, so.
Can we look at this before we
Yeah.
approve it? Because
Yeah.
knowing QuickBooks pretty well,
Yeah,
they shouldn't have to do anything. It's
okay.
so filed automatically, and I'd like to see it.
And maybe you will want to talk with Kendra about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, let's do that.
'Cause
Because I
maybe-
know they
maybe she
used to
could
do
bring
it
it-
at an outside firm.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you
Maybe
mind
they would
if we
bring it
put that
down.
off and review it a little bit?
My question is there a due date on this contract, a date they're expecting to have it signed and returned by?
I think they're expecting it pretty soon, but
It's for
maybe-
the start
maybe-
of January 24.
maybe you could call, if you
Yeah,
want to call
yeah.
Kendra, I'll give you her information.
Because if it makes sense, then perhaps we should table it until the 12th, if that gives you two
Yeah, that's
time to
plenty of
really
time.
get a common understanding of what's on there and what,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
that would be good. How long have we had co-hosts?
well, a long time.
It's
They
been
were Crane and
years.
Bell before.
Right.
Yeah,
Julie was the one that really dealt with
Yeah.
them, and she saw that and she thought it was very high.
I think
Yeah.
it was at least 2012 that we've been dealing with
Yeah.
them,
Oh, yeah, yes,
if
yeah.
not longer,
As soon as,
so
I've been here since 2013.
we like the
and they
work.
were-
Yeah, they're
We work
very
with
good
them.
at their
It would be
response
nice
times and
to-
everything, but
Yeah.
I think it's fair to circle back around and,
Mhm.
you know, express concerns about the raise and see if
Yeah.
there's a way we can.
can't get it done unless you ask, right?
So,
Right.
do you
Yeah, so we'll put it back as,
Yeah.
do you
December
need a motion
12th.
to
Okay.
table that or anything? You just gonna,
just table it, yeah.
This is for pencil sharpening.
Yes.
yeah. Well, I'll go ahead then and make a motion that we table the co-host advisor's contract discussion
I will second
for the
that.
next meeting.
All in favor?
All right?
Aye. Perfect. All right, bond counsel. In anticipation of the bond hearing, there is a company that we have used in the past that is Divine Millimet, and they are professional bond, what do we call them? They're a professional organization that helps with bond counsel services. So they have sent us an engagement letter to use them for the bond hearing and any upcoming bond issues. So we used them for the highway garage bond as well years ago, and they're pretty good. So their engagement letter is for their fees. They charge somewhere between $500 and $8,700 depending on the amount of the bond, including expenses, etc. But it's highly recommended through past experience and through Jason
Yeah,
and our
Jason.
town council that we use this company. So if you guys agree to that, we could make a motion to approve their engagement letter and their contract and use them for the bond, any bond hearings that we have.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Am I signing anything here where it says sign here, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Alright. 2024 Household Hazardous Waste Commitment Letter. So in the past, we have our coordination with the town of Conway for our household hazardous waste collection event. And we have to sign a letter committing that we're going to participate. And in that letter, we have to put a dollar amount So you can't put something like however much it costs or whatever is owed. So in the past, for the past 4 years, we've spent $1,637, $1,684, $992, and $1,105. So it's gone up and down a little bit. But if we put $1,700, which is higher than what we have ever spent, they would still submit us a bill. We would not have to pay the $1,700. We would just pay what the bill is, but that would hold us up to where we need to be. So that's the recommendation. And then the letter is a commitment that we're going to participate and cooperate with them on Saturday, September 21st, 2024. And we are appropriating $1,700 for the purpose of allowing all residents of the community access to the waste collection project. So we can put less in there, but if the bill comes in higher, we will have to borrow from the budget somewhere else. So thoughts on the amount?
It's pretty close to what everything else is, I suppose, averages out.
Yeah, I'm fine with that
1,700?
amount, yeah.
All right. I will make a motion to,
Because the last 2 years were the 9 and the 11, so
Yeah.
it's gone down from those two earlier years where it
Yeah.
was 16, so that should be pretty safe.
I'm sure we'll find that, yeah. So I will make a motion to appropriate $1,700 for the letter of commitment to the town of Conway. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Everything goes up. All right. Inclement weather policy update. This is a little bit of housekeeping. In the past, we've had in our policy, we've had a sentence that says office closures will follow the SAU 9 school closures. 2-hour delays will not change our normal office hours. And we're going to remove that. We're making a recommendation to remove that from the policy and make our own judgment call outside of the school. And mostly because people that need to be here are here, and there aren't a lot of folks with kids in the school district that work in the town anymore. So any thoughts about just removing that one sentence? It still says employees generally are expected to report to work during inclement weather. However, there may be occasions when the town offices will be closed due to severe inclement weather. If we take out the sentence, then it would just say hourly employees will be paid for this day. However, some town employees will be expected to report to work even if the town offices are closed due to the nature of the job, which obviously includes our highway department, police, that kind of thing. So, any questions or opposition?
Should it be something in the selectmen should know that the office will be closing? It's going to happen, I'm sure, but somehow a warning, say, look, bad weather. She calls the chairman and says, the chairman, we're going to close the offices. The weather's horrible, that sort of thing. Just as long as we know.
Mm-hmm.
So who would make the recommendation then to close the
Normally
offices?
it's a coordination between you and Karen, right? Because it's their office, your office.
Yeah.
And then you usually contact the chair and
Yes, yeah.
go from there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So a couple of questions. So we don't want to align with the SAU anymore moving forward because there are times that the SAU is closed and we want to come into work, or?
Yeah, like last year they closed, there was like 1.5 inches of snow, and there's really no reason for us to be closed.
So changing the policy would probably have us being open days that normally with the policy. We
Yeah, we
would
just
not.
wouldn't follow the SAU 9 policy.
Yeah,
We're town hall tough.
that's right. We're resilient.
I mean, if it's really bad and Karen and I don't think we shouldn't come in, then we would contact you and say we're closing the office.
It'll be obvious to all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think too that, the ability to do things remotely, obviously, it's important. Folks in town need to come in. Jerry?
What time of day would you be doing that?
What do you mean?
In other words,
Making the decision?
In the morning?
Yeah,
Usually in the morning.
First thing in the morning.
okay, because the SAU comes out like at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, but what we're saying is we don't want to follow the SAU
Right, but
policy.
that's what I was wondering,
Yeah.
what time you would
Well,
make that decision?
if they
the
know-
other
if they
morning
normally
Karen
open-
texted me at 5:30, so.
And put it out on eaves and,
I mean, we
Yeah.
open at 9, so there'd be plenty of time.
Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking
Yeah.
your long drive and then.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
on a long
I
drive.
could send you all kinds of updates that I get.
That's right.
Delete,
No, thank
delete,
you.
delete.
Yeah.
All right, so,
You can
I
always
don't
say
know if
here,
we
but-
want to put anything in the procedures then that say the, the town clerk and the select office administration will coordinate and contact the chair to be advised or something like that, and then we'll take out the part about following SAU
Yeah.
9. Do you want to just update that and we'll finalize it and make a motion at the next meeting then?
Sure, we can do that.
All right.
And I think
Yeah.
the broad language is
Yeah.
Yeah.
best.
Yeah. Great, thank you. Okay, fire station discussion. I haven't gotten minutes out. I'm using vacation as an excuse, but we did have a really good conversation, I think, at the fire station public hearing. There were about 30 to 35 people that were there, plus the firefighters and the select board. And it brought up a lot of different things. But one of the things that really, I think, came out of it was that we need to have some coordination of a site plan. That was really important and evident after many of the questions. That also uses consistent language so people aren't confused about what we're talking about and where. So instead of using tennis courts, we say proposed fire station location 1 or something like that. But I think all of that, when it boils down to what all of the conversation came around, it was a lot of confusing thoughts about the location, the name of the location, and cost and everything, of course, was in there as well. But also, Jay is here because he's recommending that what we do is put a warrant article out for the fire station, which is very similar to what we had for the town highway garage back in 2009. Yeah, 2009.
The idea was just to, if we're gonna do it, you can't drag it out. We gotta make some decisions on, if you're gonna put it on the warrant, what it's gonna say. If you wait much longer, it's gonna get pretty difficult, I think, for Julie with everything going on.
Right.
So, that was my
Yep,
point.
let's
It's kinda-
keep the momentum going.
Yeah, and if there's not a specific site that's identified in the article, that really allows us to just be more general with the language, easier to vet that through town council. And I think the one thing that came up, I was really pleased at how the night went, from my end of it actually, but I understand how people could see it differently. There was one location that was brought up by Gay and Andy about, and yeah, we need a site plan that's more up to date because we have roads through that town campus going out back to a mythical affordable housing area, and we have a tennis court and we have a basketball court, and none of that stuff has ever had much of a chance of ever coming to fruition. They were almost, and I asked Burr about it, and says, well, that just seemed like a good idea when I did it back in 2010, and he also labeled on there, and I know it didn't come up, I don't know who all noticed it, but it was labeled on there that the current firehouse was labeled as potential future police department site. And I said, so I contacted him, I said, how did that end up on there? We said, oh, well, somebody was mentioning it, and I just thought it would be a good idea. And so I think, but to get that town campus map, accurate and updated and up to speed costs money.
Yep.
And we've been trying to do everything we can without money up to this point. But I think you're right. I think it's time to contact the town engineer, Burr, and say, you know, we really appreciate that you pulled out your CAD forms and inserted to scale where that fire station would be located if it were moved down to the southern end of the town campus. But we really need to now go back and make it as accurate as we can. And so that, knowing that, though, is going to cost money. But if we don't do that, then there is potential for confusion there, because we can explain why there are things on there that shouldn't be and wouldn't be, but that doesn't necessarily clarify it in the moment when you've got a public hearing and you've got 40 people trying to really understand at the same time. So I would like to see us, you know, get back in touch with Burr around that site and get it up to speed, number one. Number two, there was a site that was brought up when we looked at it, which is another reason to leave the article not site specific. It's an area that is going to be a fair amount more of excavation work, but at the same time, the biggest concerns that came up in the meeting were the site. And that could have just been the profile of the people that showed up. I mean, clearly there are people that also have concerns around tax impact, but the major concern that was expressed that night was in the site location. So because there was another site on the town campus brought up, I think we owe it to the people that were at the public hearing to do due diligence on that site and not just say, well, that's going to be at least as much excavation. Well, that's not a number. At least as much excavation work is not a number. And so I think moving forward, it's going to be imperative that we have the accurate information, which we already have for renovation. We already have a good idea of what that's going to cost from the work that was done in 2021 on rebuilding on site. And we already have the numbers that are pretty accurate as far as relocating the south end. And I think we should now get to work to understand how much of the site work, how much of the site work budget will go up to relocate it. And just so everybody knows, they're talking about pretty much right where the town office septic is. And if you look, that's up a hill. So the idea would be to cut into that hill. And so there's going to be a lot of fill removed, a lot of site work to be done, septic that needs to be replaced. But the septic system was going to need to be replaced on the other side of the library anyway, so that was already in the budget. So I'd like to get updated town campus map with both potential locations in there, and both numbers connected with it, so that the voters will be able to make an informed decision if their concern is site location. Go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry.
Nope, that's okay. Go ahead, Jay. Thanks, Bob.
Couple of questions, I guess. One, if we're gonna consider, the one thing I just want to throw out there, if we're gonna think about the spot just the other side of the selectman's office where the big flat green space is, there's a lot of work we're looking for. Be a lot of things we have to
The elevation.
change.
Yeah.
Like you'd lose drive-through capability.
Yeah.
You'd gain a heat aspect to it, because it'd be a basement garage, basically, where it'd be all surrounded, 3 walls by dirt. It'd be 2 level. So there's a lot of disadvantages to it. Doesn't mean it's not that it's not doable. It was Burr's preferred location because he's a civil engineer and he likes the civil side of it, the dirt work side of it and stuff. That's what I was actually talking to Burr about tonight. So there is a lot of things that would change. Doesn't mean if it's affordable, I guess if that's the right word. Then you gotta make the decision of the things you cut out of it, that the negatives or whatever. The other, so that's kind of that, and we'll look at it. We still got some time. The other thing I definitely agree on updating the town campus plan. I mean, we do have a pretty good site plan that we paid Sam and Delia for. That Gary Spears, the landscaper for most of this area over here, really loves, like absolutely ecstatic with it, as far as what it would look like. So we have that. Whether we would get the money to pay for an updated town campus plan, I guess, is the $1 million question.
Yeah, maybe we could get a quote from Burr on how much that would cost.
But you still gotta figure out where, whose budget, what line item that comes from.
Well, yeah, I mean, knowing how much it costs first would kind of dictate where that would be. But, I mean, I think I like the idea of obviously moving this forward and having a warrant article that is not site-specific, but, and starting with the warrant article that was used for the town garage is definitely a jumping off place. But then the dollars, you know, so I think we have a couple of homework things to do, maybe looking at site plan and how far we can get on that in this short time frame.
Is there any, I guess this might be a question for Julie, but is there a last minute date you could think of as to when we could write a warrant for this?
No, it's gonna be approved at the bond hearing.
Yeah,
That's
so
when the
that's
warrant-
January
It's
16th.
So the
January
bond-
16th.
On here, it has to be by January 16th,
Yeah.
Yes,
so that's the last cutoff date
that's,
for a bond hearing. Maybe you know that.
I think that's the first.
it's the first day you can have a hearing.
Yeah.
For the first day, so what's the last day you can have a bond hearing?
I think I don't have the calendar, I think it's February 16th, but
That sounds.
I will not be here February
Yeah.
16th.
Oh, we'll figure it out.
Ireland.
No,
She's not on a safari.
Laura?
But I think that knowing that the first bond hearing is January 16th, I
Yeah.
think, you know, keeping
Yeah.
that in mind is a target date, you know, for what we want to look at.
ideally the
To
last day.
write the warrant and get it approved by a professional.
It's vetting through the town council that's great with me. So if we put together some proposed language for the bond, is that something, how long does that take to run through Hastings?
That will go to Jason before we have the hearing.
Right, but I mean, does he need a week to look at it, or a month, or what?
He's already given us some ideas,
Yeah.
and the bond council, there's an article,
Yeah,
there's a
Right.
written warrant article in there.
Right,
yeah,
So really, we need to know, is the warrant article gonna be for a new fire station or for a renovation?
yeah, okay.
It doesn't have to be the
So
location,
that's a good,
Yeah.
another
it
whole
has
question.
to just be,
Yeah,
Jerry, you were right in saying that?
all right.
Well, I mean, just a little history on that.
Yeah.
When the town garage was first proposed, the selectmen, A, didn't know where it was gonna go, and B, what it was gonna look like.
right.
It got astoundingly rejected, because the voters weren't gonna buy, if you will, a pig in a poke.
Yeah.
Well, a site to be determined, a design to be determined, a price to be determined. And as Jay pointed out, you're squeezing this into a really short time frame right now. And to me, to leave it, the site yet to be determined is a mistake. That's not fair to the voters. How can the voters make an informed decision on a site yet to be determined?
Yeah, the wording was to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1 million for the purpose of building a new public safety facility and sand salt shed of such sum to come from bonds or notes issued by the town in accordance with the municipal finance act. So it's not like we would be adding language in there to say at a site yet to be determined or anything really necessarily even more than that. I mean, we could mirror that. And that's the article that passed in 2009. So not really feeling like there's much more specificity involved in that. I mean, we would want to make sure that we worked with all appropriate people to understand. I mean, if it's a $500,000 more for site work to locate it, we know it's going to be $750,000 more site work to be built where it is, plus housing and plus demolition before we start to build. So we know that. What we don't know for sure is how much more site work it would take to relocate it on this side of the town office rather than the southern side of the town campus. And so that's what we need to provide voters for an apples to apples comparison, in my mind. And so the missing piece is that we need a harder number on the site work there rather than just looking at it. Well, that's going to be a lot more, but how much more? And then based on voter feedback and what people feel they can get behind is going to guide the ultimate number on the bond if we put a bond together for new construction, which we haven't decided yet.
Right.
Okay, hold on. It's 4:30 and we have a meeting starting at 4:30 with the planning board, but this happens to be a really huge topic. But I think at this point, we know we need to update our sites. We need to. I mean, that's absolutely the most relevant, and Jerry made a great point. It's only the fair way to do things if we're going to present something. Would you, Jay, be able to talk to Burr and find out what kind of timeline?
Yeah, I talked to him tonight already
and dollars
on that particular spot.
And you can obviously email back through Julie and we can talk about
Yeah,
it.
and I mean, I can meet up with Connor and L.A. Drew, who we talked to over here, and
Okay.
talk about that.
Because I think we have the general start of what we would want a warrant article to look like, and the timing obviously is huge and important and tight.
Yeah.
But let's take one step at a time and see if we can move along to get a site plan so we can present dollars that say it would cost X number of dollars more, or we would have to design an entire new fire station for this location. We know it would cost, 4 point whatever million over by the library area, which would be, site number whatever, site number 2.
The difficult part with over here
Yep.
is the building changes a lot too.
Yes, and that's
So
what I'm saying. If we
that's
do alternate site 2, then we would really have to go back to the drawing board almost
Yeah,
on
that's
architecture,
gonna be the
et
tough
cetera.
part.
But let's take one step at a time, and if we have to have
Yeah,
a
for
separate
sure.
meeting, we can
But
squeeze
just
it in
really
there
quick
somewhere.
on what Jerry said, I do agree with him, but even the second warrant article, the second year, the highway garage, the year that it went, it still wasn't site specific.
Right.
I don't,
Warrant article,
and
whatever.
yay for that, I just don't really, this is so much bigger than that. A salt garage is so much different than a fire station. So, and we want this to be really a fair presentation. So let's see if we can get Bert to nail something down like that, and we can make a motion or, vote on something moving forward for that.
Could I,
Does that sound
Yeah,
more
and
logical?
That's really what we'd like to see happen as next steps. And then in addition, you know, because the bulk of the concerns and questions came from dedicated library users and library staff, and we've met now several times with the library trustees, and it would be the closest building if we went to the southern end of the campus there. It's too bad that Gary Spears from Eastern Green is now officially leaving at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning for Florida for the winter, but I was going to try and shoehorn my way into your next meeting next Tuesday and see if there's interest in getting some involvement from the library trustees to appoint people to be involved in a task force or committee work moving forward, whether it's with that site rebuilding. I mean, you're a campus resident, and so some of these sites affect you more than others, and I think that with the bulk of the concerns being expressed that are location related coming from libraries, is there a way, and I can come next Tuesday, or if you want to engage in a conversation, but is there interest in having representation?
You're most welcome to attend the meeting. I've got an agenda item to talk about the fire station proposal and what we've learned so far. So please stop by.
All right, and maybe we can get more involved than at your meeting about, you know, possibly
A stakeholder.
having your
Jerry,
voice.
hold on.
There, you're not.
Jerry, hold on, please.
Having your voice in a regular contributing way.
Right?
and I don't know if this is heresy or not, to say that if it's too tight and we just can't come to it, it's gonna have to go another year, just to start off with that. Just so I'm clear, Bob, is it 3 locations really we're looking at? Tennis courts? That hill next to where the fire station is and the fire station location itself? Would those be the 3 options?
Well, we had 2.
One, of course, is renovation.
Yes.
We've already
Well, one
got
is
the
the
2
renovation.
costed out right
Yes.
now.
Right.
On site, and
Right.
then some
Correct.
campus.
Right.
And the one that came up at the public hearing was the one that we would really like to get a site work number connected to.
Right. Jerry?
Yeah, I like the idea of the stakeholders
Mm-hmm.
being involved. Who would be the stakeholder for this building, the expansion that is foreseen in this building?
I don't think that's on tap to happen this year before March, so.
Jerry is saying that if we were to build the fire station in the elevated area, the town office should have stakeholders because they would be affected by that build.
Well, I think
So-
that we should be appointing someone to be involved. I think the fire department should be appointing someone to be involved. It's a loose knit discussion right now.
All right, I'm going to
Yeah.
cut us off right here, but good discussions and reviewing the meetings coming up really quickly. December 12th, 3:30, select meeting. December 19th, 3:30, public hearing following that for the capital improvement program. Tuesday, January 9th, select meeting at 3:30, budget hearing number 1 to go over the operating budget. Following the select meeting, Tuesday, January 16th, the bond hearing, and following that will be the warrant article budget hearing number 2. So that is a change. January 16th, the budget hearing number 2 will be following the bond hearing. And then January 23rd is election day, so just mark your calendars for that. And then Tuesday, February 6th is the 3rd budget hearing for petitioned articles, and that is also following the select meeting. Those will be updated and posted.
And as you can see, I don't get enough meetings in, so I
Absolutely.
show the library
Make
meeting
sure you
on
go
the
to the
4th.
library
There we
meeting
go.
on the
Mark
4th.
that
All right.
on my calendar. as
All
well.
right, I will
He's young and
make a
enthusiastic.
motion to adjourn at 4:36.
Well, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.